So in this video, we're going to be looking at the fills and the structure that makes up 16-beat. Now there's an option to play fills in this piece, and I'm going to talk through the whole thing without fills, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the fills. So if you're wondering why I'm skipping that, we're going to talk about that later. So right away, we start with a 2-bar fill, and this is hits with the band. Like you'll hear the horns play the same thing, the same rhythm, and it's forte, so we start strong. And right away, we're starting with some semiquavers, which kind of fits the whole idea of this piece. So it's 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a for the first bar. So on the snare alone, here's what that sounds like. Except we can see that the very last beat is a bass drum and a crash cymbal. So here's what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so moving on to bar 2. We have a quaver rest on beat 1, and then we play the and, 2, and here's where it looks a little bit tricky, because it's not just semiquaver, these are demi-semiquavers, so twice as fast. So on beat 2, the snare is a value of a quaver, which means we start on the tom on the and of 2. So that means we have to play 4 notes on the tom in the space of 1 quaver. So here's what the first 2 beats of that bar sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And now going on for the rest of that bar, we have 3 and on the other toms, and then 4E. So that whole bar is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the sticking for this one, after your group of 4 demi-semiquavers, I would play just the right hand on these toms, and then right left to finish. So the whole 2-bar intro goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So take some time just to practice that on its own, because you want to start the song confident. You want to know this part. And then we go into the groove. Now we talked about that in the last video. And then we have a fill starting on beat 4 of the 3rd bar of the groove. And that's just 4 and the full bar fill on the end of the 2nd line. 1 and 2E and a, 3E and 4E and. Alright, so we'll break that down. Let's look at just that bar. The first half of that bar should go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now beats 3 and 4. So we have a semiquaver rest on beat 3, and then we have E and on the tom, and then 4E and. So that second part of the bar, I'll count 1, 2, and I'll play it on 3. 1, 2. And now that whole bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. We mentioned we have a small fill leading into that big fill from the bar before. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just keep practicing that. Take it slow to begin with, and then bring up the speed until you get it to the speed of the song. Okay, so letter A. We drop the volume down to mezzo forte. Remember, we start forte, we start strong. So letter A, we're bringing it down a little bit, and we play the groove for 4 bars. There's a small fill on the 4th bar, so we'll look at that. So it's just on beat 4 of the 4th bar, 4E and. So snare, snare, open hi-hat. Now I will play beat 1 of the next bar so you can see how long the hi-hat should stay open. So it's not open long, the hi-hat, it's only open for the value of a quaver. So we go back to our groove again there, and then another 4 bars later, we have a similar thing, a very small difference in the groove on beat 4. So it goes snare, hi-hat, snare, which means that your left hand is going to play that second snare. So here's what that looks like. you might have to move your right hand out of the way a little bit just to get your left hand in there. Not drastically, but just maybe just lift the stick a little bit so that you don't. And the bar after this one, we have a small fill in beat 4. 4 and up. And now we have quite a big fill that leads into section B. And this is almost identical to the bar that leads into section A. The only difference is beat 1. So we have a quaver rest, we play the and of 1, and then the rest of that bar is the same as leading into A. So here's what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sound familiar? So section B, we go back to our groove, we play that down. The fourth bar of B, we have something different on beat 4, but that should also be familiar as well, because we just played it in section A. That's the one where it goes right, left, left. Remember, that's the one with the left hand on the snare. So we've played that already, make sure not to miss it. And then leading into section C is the next time we see anything different from the groove, and that's quite a simple one, 3 and 4 E and. So that bar on its own. So letter C, we go back to the groove, and then there's no difference until the fourth bar of C, and then we have a small fill on the snare, 4 and up. We know how to do that already. Keep playing through C. The very last bar of C, we have another small fill, 4 E and. Snare, snare, tom. Okay? Nice and simple, don't need to demonstrate that. So section D, we talked about this in the groove video. We drop down to mezzo piano, make that really drastic. There's no backbeat, we lose the snare, so just the bass drum and the hi-hat. And then coming out of D, we have a fill that you might recognize again from earlier. That's the same fill that leads into A. So the bar before that, you've got a hit on the tom on the and of 4. So I'll play those 2 bars. The last 2 bars of D going into E. Okay, and at E we have a sax solo. So it's the same groove. The fourth bar of E, we have the 4 E and A with that very last semiquaver on the snare on the left hand. And then the very last bar of E, 3 E and 4 E and. And then at F, we're mezzo forte, so quite strong. On the fourth bar of F, we have that same small fill, 4 and up on the snare. And then we play another 4 bars of groove with the small fill, 4 E and. But don't go to G yet. There's a repeat. So we go back to F and we play F to G all again. If you need to, you can highlight that or something so that you don't miss it, because that's important. And then G is just like the intro. So the first 2 bars of G, same as the intro. Bars 3 and 4 of G, same as the intro. Bar 5 of G, bass drum and crash. And that's it. So I'll play G just so you can hear what it sounds like. And it's forte to finish. And just remember, for G and also for the intro, after that group of 4 on the tom, we go 3 and 4 E. So the right hand moves around the kit, and that's the whole piece. So if you're not interested in the fills, you can go and practice the piece, try and get it as good as you can. And we're going to go over the fills right now. So you should have a sheet with 4 fills on there that says fills for 16 beat. So we're going to go over them one by one. So nice and slowly, here is fill number 1. And remember, coming out of the fills, we're normally going back to the groove. So you're going to have a bass drum on 1 for the groove, and that one ends on a bass drum, so double bass drum. Fill number 2 is like someone cut fill number 1 in half and swapped places. So I'll play it and you'll see what I mean. The rhythm's the same, just slightly different where you play it. So beats 3 and 4. Beat 3 is all in the snare, 4 is tom tom. Okay? Fill number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And fill number 4. And that's another one that ends on the bass drum on the and the 4. Now if you were paying attention in my playthrough video, I used 2 of these fills. Did you notice what fills they were? It was fill number 1 and fill number 4. And where I played them is a good place that you can use them in the piece. So going back to looking at the chart, the 4th bar of A, that's a great place to throw in a fill, and also bar 4 of B. So you can try any one of those or all of them. I wouldn't play the same fill twice. You could play fill 1 and fill 2. I did fill 1 and fill 4. Have some fun with it. Play them all. Try the different fills in different places and see which one sounds good to you. And so that's everything. We've looked at the groove for 16-beat. We've looked at the fills and the structure. We know where we can put the fills in if we want to do that. So go practice the fills, have some fun, and we'll see you in the next video.